232155 FH or FYL.
Okay, so Ms. Trask, are you still there?
Yes.
All right. So this is a probation violation hearing. Mr. Elhart, you've been retained now to represent Mr. Foz. Are you prepared to go forward with the hearing this morning?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so Ms. Traska, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? So help you God.
I do.
All right, and if you could please start by telling us your name and how you're employed.
Amanda Traska, probation officer for Leelanau County with District Court.
Hang on just a moment, Mr. Elhart.
If I may, Your Honor, Mr. Foz is here to admit that he is unable to do the community service work.
Okay, so he wants to enter a plea.
Yes, Your Honor.
What about the added violations for, let's see, failed to continue counseling with the cancer center, disrespectful of court employees and care providers, and acting in a threat, intimidating, harassing manner? Okay, so then, Mr. Foz, is that correct? You're changing your plea in this case to guilty of the violations. That's what you want to do, is plead guilty.
That's his direction, yes, sir.
Okay, so it's still your decision, but I understand you've consulted with Mr. Elhart, and that's what you've decided to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so before I take your plea, I want to make sure you understand that you do have a right to a hearing at which Mr. Elhart would represent you, and you're choosing to waive that right, correct?
Yes.
You also understand that the worst that could happen is for this conviction of leaving an accident causing injury is you could be sentenced to up to a year in jail.
I do understand that.
You already went through all of that in the original trial, found guilty, sentenced, the whole deal. But this time, it's different. This isn't a new case, it's a probation violation, meaning you could get kicked off probation and face the maximum jail time allowed by law. The judge is simply laying out the potential sentence, up to a year in jail. But honestly, if you ask me, that doesn't sound like nearly enough time for what this guy pulled.
Do you want to talk to your attorney some more about that?
By violating probation, the worst thing that happened is the maximum.
Okay, so you understand that, correct? Okay. Has Mr. Elhart answered all of your questions to your satisfaction?
Yes.
And no one's used any force, threats, coercion, or made any promises to you to get you to waive your right to a hearing this morning, have they?
I'm going to say no, sir.
All right. Then the report indicates you were placed on probation back in October of 2023 for leaving the scene of an accident causing an injury. And as a condition of that probation, you were to complete 30 days of community service work within the first 180 days. Is that true?
Yes.
And the fact is you did not complete the 30 days in the 180 days, correct? There's also an allegation that you failed to continue your counseling with the cancer center as ordered. Is that true?
True with extenuating circumstances. It's not true that I refuse or I'm not doing it. As I've mentioned before, a letter was sent from the parole office without my permission or knowledge to my medical providers asking for information on my medical records. When I found out about that, I called my medical provider They said they deleted the email. Right, this went on for about 3 months, me trying to get the email from my provider. She went to legally refused. And because of that letter that was written by the probation department and my asking about it, they discontinued service. They refused service because they didn't want to get involved in a legal case. I also went to my,
Okay, so I'm going to give you and Mr. Alhart a full opportunity to explain the circumstances of these violations. But for right now, I'm just trying to establish if you're pleading guilty to this. For whatever reason, you did not complete the counseling that was ordered through Cowell Cancer Center, correct?
correct, but not due to my circumstance, due to their circumstance.
The answer is yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, is it also true you were disrespectful to court employees and or service or care providers?
I was honest with them.
Okay, but would you agree that you were disrespectful to them?
To me, sir, that's a very subjective term.
Well, we can have a hearing on that issue. We can have Ms. Trasker go through all of the emails and other correspondence.
I've got them too. I've got them here as well. And if you mean saying, fuck you and the horse you rode in on for writing that letter and other things like that, yes, I did.
Okay.
If you call that disrespectful, yes, that was disrespectful.
All right. So, and then it also, the allegations are also that you acted in a threatening, intimidating, and harassing manner towards other persons. Is that?
Oh, really? Well, let's see about that, because they're about to lay out everything he said and did to the victim, the court staff, and probation officers. I'll let you guys decide for yourselves whether his behavior was intimidating, threatening, or straight up harassing to everyone involved.
I suggest we go with the three that he's admitted to, and you can take into account whether or not you think the fourth is appropriate to consider for any sentence.
All right. So, Mr. Alhart, are you okay with that?
I am, Your Honor.
All right. So then, Mr. Foss, to the first three allegations, how do you plead?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll accept your plea, find it is voluntary, accurate, and understanding. And Mr. Alhart, what else would you like me to know?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm in the sentencing phase now, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, Mr. Foz was, and you had received it, I think, a copy of a letter dated nearly a year ago, where he was given 2 years to live. He may not make it to his next birthday. He's under daily chemotherapy. Cancer has spread to his bones, the rest of his body, and the liver, is that correct? Lymph nodes. I'm sure that he's undergone great deal of modifications to his temperament, the way he behaves, and to everything else due to the cancer. I'm very certain in looking at his history and talking to him about his history, what he's done for our country, that he was an exemplary citizen. Cancer has changed who he is and what he is doing. His behavior is inappropriate. Certainly, I understand his dismay that his medical rights were violated. By the same token, I understand what was going on. He can't do any work of any kind. He can barely make it here today.
Mr. Alhart, are you aware that he was given the opportunity to consult with the probation agent to try to come up with non-physical activities that would count as community service work, such as writing letters to veterans?
I wasn't aware of that.
I wasn't aware they did it. That's never been proposed to me.
Right here in open court. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Elhart.
What was right here in court, Your Honor?
When we were here on the first probation violation. Okay, thank you. Mr. Foss, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, there's a lot that I'd like to add, Your Honor, but it doesn't really pertain to what we're doing here today. I've been really disappointed by the professionalism exhibited by the probation department, my violation of my rights. The scales of justice don't seem to be equal. Inflammatory language, refuses, inflammatory language like that, it's not accurate. It's not true. I never acted in a threatening, intimidating manner. What I do demand is service from my public employees, and refusal of service is unacceptable to me. And that has happened with probation and not probation with them.
You've got a serious problem with people who don't just hand you your way, and that's classic petulant loser mentality. It's like you still haven't realized you're not the only person who matters in this world. I'm pretty sure your victim expected a basic level of decency from his fellow citizens, you know, like not getting run over by a truck just because someone felt disrespected.
Pushback like that. I don't think I've made any unrealistic requests. I'm not familiar with how the legal system works, but when I am refused service, it makes me a little irritated. I expect professionalism from my public employees, and I admit I've not been professional. I've been irate, and I get that way very easily. Part of it's, as we mentioned before, testosterone has a huge impact on that. It changes your personality. I had a doctor's appointment last week, and I mentioned that to my doctor, and he said it's an effect of testosterone. And the reason I'm unable to perform these tasks is because of my testosterone levels, my chemotherapy, my sicknesses. The reason I missed my last appointment for probation, and I mentioned this to Ms. Trask, I wrote her a letter. I'm very sorry I missed the appointment. I was ill. I don't get my mail every week. I apologized, and I asked her if there was something I could do to mitigate the situation. I never received a reply. So it's not that I'm fighting and refusing to do what you're asking me to do. I will happily do, if I could, sir, I would happily do what you asked me to do, but I'm not physically able to do it. I've mentioned that I would be happy to pay a fine, to help out the community, but physical activity serves. Yeah, I'm not able to do it.
All right, Mr. Chamberlain, anything for the people?
Your Honor, I agree with Mr. Foz that the scales of justice are not equal in this case because he was charged with a felony and could have been charged with 2 others for felonious assault. Your Honor, he got mad at someone who flipped him off. He turned around, drove his vehicle right at them, slammed on the brakes, and one of the people got hit. That person was in the hospital. They had their leg split open for, I believe it was 4 days with a pressure bandage. So from about the top of the knee to about the top of the thigh. And that was due to his actions, due to, as he said, his anger. Mr. Elhart said, cancer has changed him. Well, then that means he's a public safety risk. Your Honor, because I ran the guidelines in this case, and had he been convicted of just what was on here, he's looking at 0 to 14 months. Had we increased it to the 2 additional felonious assaults, it would be 7 to 23 months. That's OV1 for using a vehicle as a weapon, OV2 for the potential lethality of the weapon used, OV3, 25 points for life-threatening and permanent and/or permanent incapacitating impairment. OV4, 10 points, serious psychological, requiring therapy and other medical intervention. OV9, number of victims. There were 2 to 9 placed in danger. OV17, 10 points for driving recklessly, disregarding life. Your Honor, Mr. Foz thinks he's the victim here. You look at his information or the emails, And this is what he says for the victim. To be bluntly honest with you, my opinion is the legal system is fucked. My honesty lands me in hot water. Menendez dishonesty lands him thousands in cash. That's fucked, really fucked. Your Honor, the only reason why he got a misdemeanor was because if it was an intentional act, we were concerned that his car insurance wouldn't pay for all the hospital bills and everything.
We actually see this kind of thing a lot, and I rarely break it down, but here's what's going on. Sometimes, the courts will reduce a charge or accept a no-contest plea when it's pretty obvious the person should have pled guilty. And yeah, it sounds odd, but it's often done for civil reasons. In this case, they downgraded the charge because if they hadn't, the guy's insurance company could have refused to pay out, claiming the crime was intentional. That would have left the victim stuck with massive medical bills on top of everything else. It's not perfect, and it definitely feels wrong on principle, but when it's done to protect the victim, I get why they do it.
Of a misdemeanor where he needed to do community service to be done with this case. As you said, there's many non-physical activities that could be done. My suggestion, I remember at the hearing, was that he could go to a humane society and just sit and be around the animals to help, to help them essentially. Your Honor, if he had wanted to do community service, he could have done community service. He's been disrespectful to the court. He blames the court for everything. He blames the victims for his actions. I don't know what you should do, but I do know that he's a public safety risk because, as he said, he becomes irate, and it's due to his medical conditions. Something has to be done. I don't know what it is, and I'm going to leave it to you to make that decision.
All right, so this is sentencing on a number of probation violations. Initially, the concern was fail to complete 30 days of community service work, which was intended to be in lieu of jail time, taking into account Mr. Fa's medical condition. And Mr. Faz was given the opportunity at the first probation violation. Well, it wasn't a probation violation hearing. We had a review hearing to determine how to go forward. And at that time, what I recall is Mr. Faz refused to provide any medical information of any substance so that I could even verify what his situation was and whether he was physically capable of doing community service work or not. He continued to give the probation department a hard time at every corner, even pursued them with FOIA requests asking for why his original probation officer, Ms. Hulse, left her position. FOIA requests to investigate them. And actually, my probation department, I think, protected me, or maybe Mr. Faz, I don't know, from the worst of the disparaging statements that he made about the court, about the probation agents, and Mr. Chamberlain hit on some of it. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Telling our probation agent, you need to back off and mind your manners, little miss. Thanks for really effing me in the facts, Mr. Faz, referring to his probation agent. You asked if I would sign a release of my medical records. I refused. You lose. I will give you the letter of disability. which you didn't ask for. If you can't tolerate someone challenging your supposed authority, become a librarian. Government employees are pieces of shit, ignorant, lazy, don't do their jobs. You know, I don't care what you say about me, but you're talking to someone who comes in every day, does her job, tries to do the best that she can. And Mr. Alhart said something about, I know people with cancer. Yeah, I've got a mother-in-law who has terminal cancer right now. I can't imagine her, with as much as she's gone through the last few years, ever behaving in the manner that you have. So, yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I wasn't aware of all of the disparaging statements that were made until reviewing for this case this morning.
Can you say something, Ryan?
No, it's my turn. The idea that the defendant was not able to complete community service work, as Mr. Chamberlain pointed out, is simply not true. He was given the opportunity, because of his health condition, to come up with ideas for how he would do that, including writing letters to veterans, including the suggestion of the Humane Society volunteer work that Mr. Chamberlain came up with himself, and continued to refuse to do that. He did complete 4 hours of community service work, I think at a thrift shop, maybe. So the defendant is asking to be continued on probation to complete community service, but we didn't even get into some of the threatening behavior that he engaged in. And it's a little too late. I agree with Mr. Chamberlain. I do view you as a public safety threat. In fact, we had an alert out to the courthouse because of your behavior, your threatening tone towards the clerks here, both at the prosecutor's office and the district court ones, is what you did. And Mr. Chamberlain, to get here in the first place, Mr. Chamberlain described a little of that. Basically, you stalked these 2 guys on bicycles with your car because you felt you'd been disrespected by them. You assaulted them with your vehicle, and you struck Nicholas Mendez. And this is what he said at his in his victim impact statement. Looking back on the incident now, I realized I was in shock more than anything at the time, thanks to the help of the medical team at Munson and my physical therapist. I am able to be active and attend and return to life as a student. However, the experience was much more traumatic for myself and my family than I had thought at the time. My mother took off work and flew all the way from California to Traverse City to spend time with me at the hospital following my initial surgery. She was restless and losing sleep for the week that I was admitted, and didn't seem to go back to normal until I was discharged and back home. My father was the same and also came to visit me and help me around my apartment while I was recovering. Luckily, I have friends that lived nearby that were generous enough to offer their time to help take care of me after my parents left to go back home. As for myself, the summer did not play out how I imagined it would. I missed nearly 2 months of a research experience at the Rush University Midwest Orthopedics Motion Analysis Labs position that I had spent half a year networking and meeting with different professors to secure. I was really looking forward to learning about the orthopedic field and the work that was being done to improve it, but my time there was cut short by this incident. Thankfully, I was able to participate for a bit before the accident and gain some valuable experience, but not nearly as much as I was hoping for. This time was also going to be important for adding to my resume and application for residencies after completing medical school. I also wasn't prepared for how difficult my physical therapy would be to juggle with my coursework. After arrival on my first day, I was barely able to walk, and I could not flex my quadricep muscle at all. We did a series of stretches and exercises that left me exhausted and sore for the next 3 days. As I was supposed to do these exercises 2 times a day, I was constantly fighting to find the time and energy to fit them in around my lectures and studying. As I progressed in therapy, the routine got easier as it would take less time and effort to complete the exercises, but there was definitely a learning curve and about a month of pretty constant fatigue. I'm lucky that that was the extent of my recovery and that I can walk and run essentially as I could before. There are still aches and pains, but it is nothing compared to the potential impairment that I could have sustained if the worst case scenario played out. It's definitely scary to think about, but I'm grateful to be where I am at today. Mr. Chamberlain is correct. The facts of this case make out a much more serious case, a felony. The defendant also left the scene after he struck Mr. Mendez in the leg. And the defendant, one thing is clear, he has absolutely no remorse for what happened to Mr. Mendez, has no understanding of his criminal behavior, and in fact continues to blame the legal system for his problems. So for those reasons,
Just as an aside, what you said, Mr. Mendez did get a civil settlement in excess, we believe, about $300,000.